All right, so here we have the Jamis Renegade S2. If you watched our previous video about the Jamis Renegade, you know that this is one of our favorite Renegades. And in my opinion, it's one of the best steel gravel adventure bikes that you can buy. Absolutely love this bike. So today though, I'm going to tell you about the new and improved Jamis Renegade S2 that just came out. We got a couple of examples on the floor. So I'm going to walk you through some of the changes to the Jamis Renegade S2 and tell you all about it in this video, so check it out. So here it is, the new Jamis Renegade S2. This bike is in Coppertone. Obviously that's the biggest change to this bike. Absolutely beautiful color. I loved the root beer color. I didn't think they could top it, but man, they certainly have. This new color is stunning. The bike looks great. But that's not the only change, so I'm gonna walk you through all the changes here. But first, let's talk about what stayed the same. So the Renegade S2 is made out of Reynolds 631 double-butted chromoly steel. That hasn't changed. The frame is pretty much the same. There are a few minor changes to the frame that I'll talk about in a minute, but the frame is still the great geometry that we love, the great ride that we love. Nothing's changed there. The other thing about all of the Jamis Renegades is that they use size-specific design. And what that means is the geometry of the frame is optimized for each different size. So if you're a smaller rider on a smaller frame or a bigger rider on a larger frame, you get the same geometry that everyone enjoys. So a lot of the companies just take the same geometry and apply it to all the different frame sizes. Jamis takes that extra step to make sure that everybody gets an optimized frame regardless of what size rider they are. The other thing that stays the same is the drivetrain. This is the Shimano GRX 600 series 1x11 drivetrain. None of that's changed. The shifters are Shimano GRX 400 series. The brakes are Shimano GRX. So all of the main drivetrain components have stayed the same. The crankset is a Praxis Alba. That stayed the same as well, although I did notice they're using a flat colored crankset on the older model and a glossier colored crankset, but just a minor change to the look of the crankset. All right, the other thing that is the same on this bike is the wheels. They have really nice Boyd wheels and hubs that they introduced in the last model. It also is using the WTB Rattler tires in a 700x40, which I think is a great combination. So all of that stays the same. The bike also has the redshift stem that provides a little bit of cushion in the front. Love that feature. That stayed the same. So there is one other thing that stays the same, and that is the price. This bike is $2399.95, which I think is a great value for what you get. So now let's talk about the difference. You might get a clue from the color of the fork that they've done some work up here. For most of the Renegades, they use the same fork color as the frame, but in this case, they've got a matte black finish on the fork. It's got really cool graphics on it as well. So it's not just the look of the fork that's changed, they've also added some functionality as well. So down here at the axle, Jamis has put a 5mm chip in, which allows you to change the offset of the fork by 5mm. So you can choose either a 50mm offset or a 55mm offset just by flipping this chip around. And what that does is change the ride characteristics of the bike. So with the 50mm offset, it's going to provide a little bit more of a stable ride, and the 55mm offset is going to make the bike a little more twitchy or racy. The other change I noticed on the fork is that they removed the mounting point at the front of the fork crown. On the older Renegade, they had the mounting point there. Generally, that is to allow you to mount a small front rack. So they've removed that. I'm not sure why, but that's I guess the one thing that has been removed. You still have all of the other mounting points on the fork to allow you to mount accessory bottles or anything cages on the fork. Also, I noticed that they also changed the lower headset. On the older model, it is an integrated lower headset, and here they've gone with an external lower headset, which just changes the look and cleans up the look of the front fork a little bit. Really won't affect the functionality too much. So that's the biggest change. I think it's a great change. I really look forward to, when the weather gets a little nicer, taking out and riding the bike a little bit to see how the bike performs with the different fork offset positions. And you know, I continue to be impressed with the S2. I think Jamis's attention to detail and making small upgrades over time to the bike is really impressive, and really look forward to getting folks on this bike, because I think it just keeps getting better and better. So, all right, so I hope you found this video helpful. And if you are interested in a Jamis Renegade S2 or any Jamis Renegade, we've got them in stock. We don't have huge numbers. In fact, my understanding is that with the Coppertone Renegade S2, that they did produce a small number of these, and they may not be available long. So if you're interested, let us know. We'll try to help you get one. Also, we are going to be doing videos on some of the other new Jamis Renegade models that have just been released. So stay tuned for that. And thank you for hanging out with us at Ottawa Bike and Trail. We'll see you next time.